And welcome back inside the cave. Jeff Bowman, yours truly, Pat Hayes, with you this morning. And every Tuesday rather, at 7:25, we call on Tom Crawford from the Crawford Podcasting Network, and a regular on Fox 47 out of Lansing. And Tom, just 13 weeks until Michigan football.
Yeah, I'm a summer guy, but man, I'm anxious for August 30th to roll around, and the New Mexico Lobos coming in for a night game, so that will be interesting. You'll be getting back real late, Pat, so
yes.
You have to take a nap earlier in the day.
I will definitely have to take a nap. Well, we've talked a little bit about football and basketball and some of the other sports here on this morning show, but we want to talk today a little bit about some of the traditions that have happened at Michigan over the course of the years, and I'm sure you are very well aware of some of those traditions, and we just kind of wanted to pick your brain today to maybe give us some interesting tidbits of some of those traditions.
Well, one of the most interesting traditions is kind of a reverse thing. It's not having a mascot. I mean, how many times do you see the mascot part of the brand, if you will, like Michigan State with Sparty, Brutus, with Ohio State, and all these teams, it seems like all these prevalent teams have a mascot, and Michigan never went that route, and it's almost like, well, we're not going to do that. It's almost, I don't know if it's arrogance or whatever. I mean, I think they tried this Whoopi the Wolverine or something. I don't know what they tried to do at one time. I'd tinker with it. It never really took off, and I don't think it ever will. But the tradition, it's not a mascot running around doing goofy, entertaining things. It's the Block M. It's the winged helmet. It's the aerial shot of Michigan Stadium. It's so many other things that go beyond. There's a lot of traditions at Michigan.
No question about it. And, one of the traditions, and a lot of the traditions, have to do with the University of Michigan Marching Band. As, we know they stroll out onto the field every game. And one of their traditions always, I'm not sure how long this has been going on, but in their repertoire of songs that they play, two of them stand out. One, the Hawaiian War Chant, and Temptation. Those two are always played, I think.
Boy, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it, Pat. Those things have gone back, to the 60s or the 70s, whatever. I mean, I remember when I was in school, those were the two, you can't do one without the other. And you started, I think it was Temptation first, and then Hawaiian War Chant after, or the second, whatever the case may be. And it was in the post game. I mean, there used to be a lot of fans at Michigan Stadium who would stay back for the post game. Kind of the band would go out there and have a post game show, and the people, at least on the west side, would stay. And the Michigan Marching Band has been huge. I remember back in the late 60s, it was all male, and finally there was all male cheerleaders, because I had fraternity brothers who they were basically de facto gymnasts. They were the cheerleaders. They're doing the flips off the mini tramp, and the band, and they're all male, and then they incorporate women in both regards. But it's and I was there in that stadium from '64 on, so I've seen so many traditions, get tweaked or sustained, and there are countless ones we could go into.
I know the band also tries to bring in more current music into their halftime shows, and one of the songs that I hear just about every time I go over there is "Sweet Caroline," a Neil Diamond song, and the crowd sings right along with it.
Yeah, this is a difference of what's happened in college football, and you're trying to adapt to maybe a younger audience, whatever, or more vibrant. I mean, it's nonstop entertainment, and you and I really can't speak to this because we're insulated somewhat in the press box. But it used to be during timeouts, and there weren't as many TV timeouts. But the band would be playing different songs, right? As they were seated over on their typical west side. They were over on the east side a few years in a row. But now it's loud music. Mr. Brightside has been kind of the sing-along song, but a Sweet Caroline and so many other ones that in the students, these are old songs. I mean, Sweet Caroline, and the students know the words. Obviously, Mr. Brightside has been that's been adapted to Michigan, kind of the timeout song, and I heard that they're going to definitely log that into the same spot between the third and fourth quarter. But I've been hearing people can't even hear the person next to them in a conversation.
Exactly.
It's probably old people like us saying that, but I mean it's different. It's nonstop noise and energy, and I guess this is what the public wants.
And one of the things that goes on at Michigan Stadium, just about every week, the score from Slippery Rock is announced, and the stadium goes, "What? How did that ever come about, Tom? Do you know?"
All I know is I've known it all my life, and that's a great question. How that evolved. Slippery Rock versus Shippensburg State. Howard King was a long-time PA announcer, and then Carl Grapentine, who's still announcing, did the band. Those were the two voices, and I mean Howard. I think Howard King would announce it as the score Slippery, and it was just something that everybody got a chuckle. It was always late in the game, and it was the fun. It was kind of. Because it was a school with a funny name, Division III or Division II. I guess Division II, and that's been long-standing. And then another thing is the banner. The Michigan comes out under the banner. That really did not evolve until I think it was the mid to late '60s. That evolved, and it was big in '69, for example, when the big 24-12 upset over Ohio State. Michigan was so psyched up, and I mean there were people flying through the banner. I mean it was I'll never forget that. I mean that moment. It was tremendous, and so and that's still there. So that's been going on. I know we're talking 60 years for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I was just going to mention the banner, and I think it's neat too because the tradition of all the different teams that get to go out there, and form the tunnel and stuff too. So I think it gives a great experience for other athletic teams at U of M to get a chance to get up there on the field and experience what it's like for them running out onto the field.
Yeah, well, there are some. I mentioned about Michigan doesn't have a mascot. You look at Notre Dame, win or lose, they say, they all get together even after a loss, and I don't know what song it is. The Notre Dame's alma mater, and Ohio State does it too, win or lose. Michigan post game, players engaging with the student section is kind of 1 foot in the water, 1 foot out. I mean, after a big win, some of the players will go over there and jump up on the brick wall and sing the victors with the student section. Sometimes it's like a fourth, a third, a fifth, whatever. They haven't really fully committed to that. I have noticed that. So it's not like Michigan is flawless in all their traditions. They're still working on things, I think.
Well, going back maybe even a little further here, during big game weekends, like if Michigan State is in town or Ohio State, fraternities on campus go over and guard the Block M over in the Diag before the football weekend because they're afraid of someone coming and defacing that block M.
Yeah, the block M that you learn when you're a student, don't step on it. You got to step over it. Yeah, that's been a big thing. I mean, they do that out here at Michigan State with Sparty. Michigan Week, they protect the marching band does that, which is good. I think that's important. But I would like I would like to see more engagement sometimes with the team and the student section, as I mentioned before, because I see it in other stadiums. I saw it in Notre Dame down there. After they beat me in 2018, Shea Patterson, that when he was quarterback, and it's like, wow, that post game, that team is really engaged in their tradition. Notre Dame's got some great, solid traditions. Michigan does too. But I'll tell you what, the winged helmet is the one that you see the helmet, you automatically know it's Michigan, and that goes as well as the block M. I mean, when you see the block M, that's you know it's Michigan. It's not Missouri. It's Michigan.
Going way back, there is always one seat reserved in Michigan Stadium for Fritz Chrysler. I'm not sure if they still do that, but
actually, I think was it Fritz Chrysler or Fielding H. Yost?
It's Fielding Yost that started that, and it's always the official attendance that's given during that fourth quarter always ends in the number 1.
I mean, and people don't realize that, and then we get a kick out of that. You and I are always trying to guess the range, not the number, but are we in the 110s? Are we in the 109s? And you wonder how do they calibrate that? When it comes down to it, I mean, does that count people that didn't show up? Does that count people that are inside the gates? Does that count all the concessionaire personnel? I've never really had that defined.
I believe it's just usually paid attendance.
Everybody was inside the gates, but it's a big number, and it's a great stadium, and it's a big crowd. I was out the lake yesterday. There's 2 places that I'm happiest. One's on the water, and one's in Michigan Stadium, sitting next to you, Pat, in the press box.
All right, Tom, we're coming to the end of our segment here, but we want to get your Michigan memory today.
Well, it's funny. I'm glad we brought this topic up about traditions. I'm talking about a 1973 Titanic battle, 2 undefeated teams, Michigan, Ohio State, top 5 teams, 10-0, 10-0. The game ended up in a 10-10 tie. Mike Lantry missed a couple field goals. And then what happened the next day was the infamous vote of who goes to Rose Bowl.
Oh, boy, yeah.
And you remember that, and the athletic director scapegoated Dennis Franklin because he was hurt in this game, had a broken collarbone, and they voted Ohio State. And one of the schools that voted for Ohio State was Michigan State.
That was
really irritated.
Was that Bert Smith?
That game, yeah, Bert Smith with the AD. But the ironic, back to the banner thing, is that the late John Hicks was Ohio State's All-American offensive lineman, and Ohio State came out first, and they were set. They're getting the banner set up for Michigan to come up, and they went up and ripped down the banner.
Yep.
And that just stirred the crowd. Michigan eventually came out and just kind of jam piled as they used to do over on the side, but they tear down the coveted M Club banner, as Bob Ufer would say, and that was that game was a stirring game. Michigan had so many great opportunities in that second half to win that game. Tommy Drake had an interception that set up a 42-yard field goal right at the end for Lantry, and the Vietnam veteran just missed off to the left, and then the following year he missed a field goal, a 33-yarder. So he's a great kicker for Michigan, but man, he had some tough misses, including a missed 58-yarder earlier in that game, or it's still late fourth quarter. It could have put Michigan ahead and sent Michigan to the Rose Bowl with an undefeated record.
You talk about Bob Ufer, what a fan he was of Michigan football.
Yeah, insurance guy, Michigan track guy, with Don Canham in the 40s and Bud Mays in blue, and boy, he was a homer as your play-by-play at WPAG in Ann Arbor and other stations, eventually WJR. But he was you knew who Bob Ufer wanted to win, and I loved every minute of listening to him.
Absolutely. Well, Tom, we're out of time here, but we want to remind folks that you've got podcasts up all the time, and how can people listen to those?
Yeah, go out to Tom's Take Community on Facebook and my YouTube channel, and at Bluebelly Tom on my TikTok account, and we got a lot of videos, and we're as we remarked about it earlier, counting down the days. We're in June, college football right around the corner, and we're going to heat things up, I'm telling you.
All right, Tom, we'll talk to you again soon, and good luck to you next week.
All right, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
All right,
Jeff, have a great day.
Yeah, Tom Crawford, our guest here on Inside the Cave this morning.